What is up, Kickin' It fans? Episode 26, visual. Look who I've got with me. What's up, Danny?
What's up, guys? Nice to be seen and heard professional sounding again.
We sound so much better, and to be honest with you, besides your Snapchats and your Instagram posts, I kind of forgot what you look like. And
Okay, I got to be honest, Donnie. That hurts my feelings a little bit because I don't think many people look like me, okay? Light-skinned kid, half braids, half fro.
you got to give us a
dressed like a
view
freak.
of your braids, by the way.
Absolutely not. You can get a view of my braids when they're cleaned up, but as of right now,
Fair.
we're keeping the headphones on and hats on.
Fair. Awesome. Well, we're still going to keep going audio-wise, but we wanted to switch it up for our viewers. Now our viewers, Danny, I got you there, not just listeners. We're going to bump it up. We're making our YouTube channel. This will be our first episode on our YouTube channel, episode 26 in total. Really, this is just going to be a casual kickback. Took some time off last week because of all that's going on in our world. Danny, just wanted to check in with you. How are you doing right now amidst all the craziness?
Man, I'm doing great, man. It is strange because obviously we've been dealing with the COVID-19 for the last couple of months, and that's been overwhelming enough. And then, obviously I'm happy that this Black Lives Matter movement is coming to light the way that it is. And a lot of people are really joining that movement and really pushing for the equality that is necessary in this world. But man, it's a lot of stuff going on. We went from social distancing to thousands of people protesting in the streets. So it's definitely different. I'm doing me, chilling at home, keeping the workouts coming, putting those feet to the pavement in the neighborhoods, getting the sweat, #sweat today, the vibes. But yeah, it's been the same as always, man, trying to do more art stuff, been creating. Obviously, we have been talking a lot the last couple of weeks about, hint, opening merch, finally coming out, Kicking It merch. Keep an eye out, listeners, viewers, everybody. And keep your wallets open. Keep some money in that bank account because we are going to be releasing some beautiful limited edition merchandise in the near future.
When you said keep your wallet open, Danny is not joking. These shirts, I think, are going to be fantastic. Shout out to Danny's friend John, who's going to be helping us with the production. Hopefully they'll be done sooner than we think, given all of the craziness, as I mentioned before, that's going on in our world. But really, for me, to echo off what Danny said, it's different for me being that it's different for me being a white male, at least, being that I'm not exactly knowledgeable as much as I want to be. And that's something I'm working on, is just broadening my knowledge and talking less and listening more about what's going on. So Danny, as always, man, always love. And you know that you've got a brother in me and I've got a brother in you. So happy we can do this. Happy we can see each other finally. I can't say that enough because this podcast is going to continue to progress as the days go on. But
can I just interrupt you quick and say
ahead.
It's not only nice to see you and finally be able to hear you not through a phone speaker, but also be able to see high school Donnie in the background there, sporting a baseball and basketball. He's a basketball player.
Is that your own sport?
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a basketball player. He's a dual sport athlete. You see this guy in the background, 2'4", the white mamba right there, and the Louisville Lexington Slugger in the background there. What an absolute beast, this guy.
Ooh, Louisville Lexington.
Multifaceted, our co-host Donnie C here.
Those were senior year portraits of me from my senior nights for basketball and baseball. Let's just be honest, I was not a good baseball player. Anybody that played with me my senior year knows I literally came, I think, a week before the season started. I told the coach I was interested because it was my senior year. Why the heck not? I played. I started a majority of the games. I'm not trying to brag on myself because we know the superior athlete in this Zoom call is not in Lexington. But my baseball career was not great, but I got to have a nice little senior portrait.
I mean, I don't have anything like that, so I got to be honest, I'm a little bit jealous of you.
You've also got some All-Americans to your name, so I think those will, that kind of tops.
I don't have any trophies yet, though. Hopefully they send me a certificate or something. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be ideal. Also, while we're on the topic of backgrounds, I have to show you all.
Oh, yes.
Put in hand.
The buddies.
The butters.
Those are beautiful.
I mean, look at that.
Also, can we talk about how this is so much better? I just want to say you're welcome to the viewers right now who I know are saying thank you, Breezy and Don C for including audio. So now when you're talking about all these shoes that we have no idea what you're talking about, now guess what? Through the editing powers of Donnie C, we will be able to edit in photos of all the shoes we are talking about. We'll be able to show you in hand the shoes that we've picked up. I mean, this is maybe the happiest day of quarantine for me. This is the most exciting day so far.
I can't think of one really off the top of my head that tops this, Danny. So agreed, 100%. But we cannot forget, we've got to talk sports. We've got to talk shoes. The main topic that's on our mind right now is the NBA. And being that I'm also a big Disney guy, I grew up going to Disney World. We used to live, I would say I may be off on this, about 2 hours from Jacksonville, or Orlando, I'm sorry, when I lived in St. Simons Island, Georgia. At one point in my life, Danny, I was fortunate enough, shout out to mom and dad, because we went 5 times in 1 year because we had the annual pass. We were so close. When my sister and I lived there, we were a lot younger. Disney was our thing. You now pair Disney, a childhood love of mine, and the NBA, a current love of mine. I mean, what could be better than that?
Man, honestly, you have no idea how happy I am. For basketball to be back, but that's such a special place to me as well because just like you, I spent a lot of time in Orlando when I was young because back when I used to play basketball, that's where the national championship was for AAU. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was playing AAU from 9 years old to 12 years old, or maybe 8 to 11, that's where we went. Wide world of sports. So that exact court that they're going to play on, I've gotten to play on multiple times. So to be able to say, man, the best player in the world, yeah, I mean, LeBron James is playing in Orlando on the same court. I had to do it to you. He's playing on the same court that I got to play on. The best AAU player in Orlando. I mean, it's unbelievable. Me and LeBron have so many similarities, and he's going to be able to play and maybe score 20, 25 points on a court that I dropped 40 on. 40 points I dropped on that court. So
40.
40. I dropped the game at Nationals, 40 points from a team from, I want to say Puerto Rico, because they could play. Their territory, so they could
Are
play.
you okay? I'm not taking a shot at you. Are you pulling a Skip Bayless? Because Skip Bayless averaged 2 points a game in his senior year. Are
I'm
you
not.
gassing yourself, Danny?
I
This
am
is
not.
on.
I am not. And you know what? Just because you brought this up, on the next podcast, I will bring up my runner-up in the World Championships,
I need to see this.
9 and under World Championships of 3-on-3 pickup basketball. Second in
No
the world.
way.
I will bring that trophy up in the next
How have we
podcast
not talked about this before?
because I was 9 years old. It's hard to brag when I was like 5'10" when I was 9 probably, and I've grown 5 inches since then. But I was basically Ben Simmons, but I could shoot.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I
Okay,
was
so
I
then
was
you
the
weren't Ben
tallest.
Simmons because
So
you
I
could
wasn't Ben
shoot.
Simmons. I wasn't Ben
Thank
Simmons.
you.
Okay, I was more
Thank
like
you.
Magic Johnson, I suppose. But that's obviously giving myself a pat on the back. But no, for real, I enjoyed playing down in Orlando. That's a beautiful facility. They're going to be, I mean, the amenities, in Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have. I heard they said the only thing they can do outside of basketball is golf. Basically, hit the golf courses. There's a plethora of golf courses around that Orlando area. So there will be a lot of activity for the guys to do.
I can't wait to see all of these teams, 22 teams to be exact, because there were a lot of teams that were left off. The one script thing that I have right now, this is pretty much going to be an off the cuff episode, but wanted to explain to everybody that's watching right now or listening the details on the NBA's proposed play-in tournament. So what's going on right now is the East is bringing 9 teams to Orlando, the 8 playoff teams plus the one team that's in contention for that 8 spot. The West is different because there's so many, more competitive teams in the West. They're bringing 4, so they're going to have 13 teams in Orlando, for those of you that don't know. Here's the rules. If the 9th seed is more than 4 games back, the 8th seed will earn the playoff spot. If the 9th seed is 4 or fewer games behind, a play-in will ensue. Single elimination for the 9th seed, double elimination for the 8th seed. So what do you see happening, Danny, off the top of your head that's going to happen in the West?
In the West, I truly do see. I mean, obviously, we had talked about this before. Zion did have that interview, and I'm not sure of the shape that my guy is in right now. That's the thing we'll be interested to see. That was the conversation I had with, the guy I mentioned on this podcast all the time, good old Josh, my boy. We talk NBA all the time when I'm not talking to you, Donnie. And I told him, I said, they need to have regular season games. They have to have, I suggested even 5 games. I just said just 5 games to get a little bit of a rhythm back. And let's see where teams are. And I expected them to bring 10-10 or 9-9 even, and just play 5 games, have a play-in, just the way they're doing it. But I do really see the Pelicans surging. I know it was a long time ago that the season ended. 3 months we're coming up on now. How crazy is that? And it will be almost 5 months, 4.5 months at least when they get back. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But I don't know. I've never been on this Memphis train. I love John Morant. I do think he'll be Rookie of the Year. But I've never been on this train as a team that could really compete. And I knew that Pelicans team, when Zion was healthy, was going to give teams problems. So I really do see those two teams being in 9-8 either way. I say within 1 or 2 games, and we're going to see some of the most entertaining basketball because there has never been anything like that. There's never been anything like a playing game for the 8-9. So I'm hoping that we see Memphis and New Orleans in that 8-9 spot. But then again, Utah's so far ahead of everyone, but look how their injuries are crazy. Who knows if Joe Ingles even shows up to camp? He's been threatening not to even come. That's a team where, what about Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert? Obviously, we know that a little bit of that friendship was a little bit messed around with this whole Corona stuff. So I'm interested to see if Utah doesn't fall apart in these last 8 games. They might drop down. Who knows? But I do see it being Memphis and New Orleans, and I think New Orleans is going to end up getting in.
It's tough for me because, one, I've been able to see Zion very close, being that I played against him when I was 16. But at the same time, I know just how good, as does the rest of the world, I know how good John Morant really is. I think with Zion, the obvious concern is his weight and his playing shape, as we all know. But at the same time, he's been playing at 270 plus since he was at Duke, dominating game in and game out into the NBA once he got healthy. But it's that knee that's bothering him. You look at it now, as a normal human being, your tendencies are going to be during this time, I'm going to eat, I'm going to relax, I'm going to get my mind right. Your mind may be right, but if your body's not there, it's just there's no way you can put both of those together in my eyes for normal activity, much less an NBA season. I say all of that to really just preface my point. I think Memphis is going to get in. I think Memphis deserves to get in. Not discrediting Zion, but he's just too far behind, plain and simple. And John Morant can do so many things. And what I would love to see would be John Morant in an empty gym talking that talk to King James himself in a first-round series where Memphis may get swept, let's be real. But I really like Memphis in the future. The Ringer Show always does pieces on the Grizzlies. They call them the Bright Future Grizzlies. Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson, Jonas Valanciunas, Dylan Brooks. They've got a plethora of young players that I think if they do make the playoffs this season, even though it's a lot different than what it normally would have been. Right now, heck, we would have been nearing the finals, in the finals. So for me, it's looking at Memphis and saying, how far do we see this team going right now? Because the conditions, I mean, you may sit there and think, oh, it's going to affect Memphis. It could affect LA. It could affect Milwaukee. It could affect everyone. So right now, I think that's the excitement. We know that sports is always going to have that element of the unknown. Now adding in this and an empty gym, Danny, 3 months off. Who knows what's going to happen in these playoffs? I'm excited, but I really I want to just also say this for the record. So Giannis is going to come back. I hope you guys see that. Freak. And he's going to be freaky. He's going to be crazy. I know that there were reports earlier in quarantine that he didn't have access to a gym. He didn't have access to shoot a basketball. Let's be real. Giannis doesn't shoot basketballs. Giannis dunks basketballs. He punishes you at the rim. He's going to do that throughout the playoffs. Mark my words. You will see Giannis in the finals.
It's fun. First of all, I don't think any. I do not think there's a soul who could genuinely look you in the eyes and say, I truly believe another team in the East is going to come out of the East. Because when, what you said, I think makes a lot of sense. Who knows who this is going to affect? But what I really am sure I'm going to see, I don't want to say sure, but 95% sure, the team that attacks the basket more is going to do better because they're not affected by the break. They're not losing months of shooting rhythm because, yeah, there are some people with private gyms and stuff. But like you said, I just can't see with people wanting to protect their families, wanting to be safe. They're not getting the same level of training and the same intensity that they would during the season, during the playoffs. So when you have a guy like Giannis and a team like that, let's be honest, that team shoots well, but they also can work inside out very well. Giannis can run the court. Brooke and Robin Lopez both can play inside out. They got a lot of good wingers. Obviously, Dante DiVincenzo can drive the basketball and he can pull up. They have a lot of guys whose game fits this type of break. Whereas a team like Houston, LA, Clippers, and Lakers, even Boston, so to speak, have so many smaller guys that love to pull up and shoot threes and play on rhythm. I can tell you right now, if the Warriors were in contention, which thankfully they are not, so I don't have to watch that shipwreck anymore, we can rest, recover, and prepare to pick up your boy Anthony Edwards, first pick in the draft, unless we trade him for someone, which I do not think we will, because we are waiting for somebody very special to decide to come to the Warriors.
Oh, here we go.
But no, but that's besides the point. So a team like that, the Warriors, that are so used to playing on rhythm, so used to playing at Oracle, now the Chase Center, they'd really struggle in these conditions. And this is a reason why I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I know you're going to think I'm crazy. But a team that I think this type of setup is going to help is Philly. Can we just talk about how Philly – hear me out. Philly's one of the best teams playing at home. The reason they're so good at playing at home is because Embiid's not getting torched by the crowd the whole time. Simmons isn't getting torched by the crowd the whole time. And that gets in these guys' heads. Let's just talk about that team, for example. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, even Tobias Harris at some points, and Al Horford have known to go super cold when they're playing on the road. Crowd starts to go crazy. They have one of the worst road records in the NBA. I had no idea. They have the best home record and probably the worst road record out of the teams in the playoffs right now. This is going to help them. This is going to help them so much. There's no worry about Ben airballing a three. There's no worry about Joel Embiid talking crap and the crowd getting on him. I think that's a team that will do well in this setting. Whereas a team like Toronto, who's so reliant on their crowd, or a team like Portland, if they were to get in, Utah, they're so reliant on the crowd, shooting, rhythm, and then players getting, rattled. How many players have we seen get rattled in that Toronto crowd, rattled in that Utah crowd, rattled in the Rose Garden? Like these are things we've seen in the NBA. I think this is going to really help the teams that struggle to play on the road. And I think Philly is one of those teams who really, really struggles. So I think we'll see them play very well.
I believe I can counter that, though, with saying at the same time, while Philly plays better at home, there is no home in this playoffs. So, you think about what the advantages were, and I know me and you both shared a very, very hearty laugh when we heard about the potential ideas. Let me just humor all of you for a second. Colin Cowherd laid it out. He said the higher seed, meaning the Bucks or the Lakers, could designate a player that could get 7 fouls to foul out instead of 6, which we all know who those 2 players are. What were the other ones, Danny? The home court would be literally transported from, i.e. Milwaukee, to Orlando. I mean,
I don't even remember what the other one, but I've also heard about this 2K. That was hilarious.
Oh, geez.
2K sounds? What's going on here?
Poor David Aldridge would continue to get cut off every single time.
I just think they truly don't want the fans to hear what truly goes on between the players and the officials during the game.
To me, that to me is one of the most beautiful things about it. That's something that on a normal basis, I mean, you may cringe, you may shake your head, but you think about it right now, as we have said too many times, unprecedented times are happening right now on the earth. So you factor in guys like LeBron and AD talking to each other. You factor in guys like Giannis screaming after a timeout, after he's hype, after a dunk. You factor in all that excitement. That, to me, I think is going to not cover the loss of a crowd, because nothing can cover a loss of the crowd. We both can attest to that, being at pro sporting events and feeling that energy. That's why sports are so awesome. But you can't have crowds right now. You just can't. So I feel like if they are allowing the players to have either microphones on the court, be able to hear them when they're playing, it's going to make it exciting. It's going to make a fan tune in to say, oh, I wonder what LeBron's going to say this game. Or I wonder what kind of argument James Harden and Russell Westbrook are going to have. It's going to add a different element that we're not used to, but I think right now it could suffice.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen, because I thought maybe, a potential thing they could do is have the mics all around the court, but put the game on like a 30-second delay and truthfully have somebody in the truck bleeping out the cuss words, because we know in competitive settings with these guys, there's going to be a lot of trash talk, a lot of screaming at the ref. I mean, we can hear it during games when there is a crowd. You can hear dudes screaming at the referee, "What the are you doing?" And just scream. These are things that we're going to hear on just magnitude times 1,000. So I want to hear it. I'm just like you. I want to hear that back and forth. I want to hear it so bad. One of the things we talked about during the All-Star game, Giannis and LeBron going back and forth 5-6 possessions. You're telling me you want to hear those guys mic'd up? Oh, of course you do. But when Patrick Beverley's trying to cover Russell Westbrook, I'm not sure we can still call this a PG show if those two are talking back and forth. And I just think that's the truth of the matter. Russell Westbrook's not going to change how he talks. Patrick Beverley, Marcus Morris, these guys are not going to change how they talk. So I'm very interested to see how it goes. I'm very, very excited. That's for sure. I'm super excited. And I'm just ready for it to come. It's crazy. They announced it's coming back, and we're still not going to see it until I believe July 31st, they said is the first day back. But it definitely gives you something to look forward to. So I'm very excited to see. I am not getting off my prediction whatsoever. I think we're going to see the Lakers and the Bucks, whether there's a crowd or there's not a crowd, because I think at the end of the day, those are the two best teams. But what I do think is going to play a factor is the days off. I keep hearing that it's going to be every other day, no 2-day breaks. Granted, there's no traveling, and I understand that that is a big part of why they do 2 days off, between a game 2 and a game 3 for LA to travel to Milwaukee and these types of things. But still, it doesn't change the fact that when you have to cover a Giannis, and when you have to cover a LeBron, when you have to cover AD for 48 minutes, and then 2 days later you got to do it again, and then 2 days later you got to do it again, and again, that's tough. The crowd, no adrenaline from the crowd. This isn't, obviously we're going to get into talking about UFC, but this for me is completely different when the UFC comes with no crowd, because they spar, quote unquote, which a lot of them say is very similar to a fight in terms of intensity. And there's never a crowd. So they're used to this. This is no real change. They can hear their coaches. There's not going to be a player in these playoffs and 22 teams that has played in front of less than 10,000 fans in every single game since they were in high school. And that's just the truth. Since they left high school, they've been playing in front of 10, 20, or way more fans, some of them since they were 15 years old. So I'm very interested to see, because let's be honest, we know in the NBA, they're not playing 5-on-5 with the intensity they're playing in the NBA, like two UFC fighters are intense against each other in the octagon. So I'm very interested to see what happens. I think the first couple games is not going to be very high quality. I am not expecting to see tip-top shape, tip-top guys. I think we're going to see, especially in the top teams who are safe in the playoff spots, going to be resting guys a lot. You're going to see a lot of load management in the first couple of games, that's for sure.
It wouldn't surprise me, Danny. It really wouldn't. And I think the notion that we've had prior to the NBA actually having a tangible plan, we've been saying, the team that ends up winning, it's going to be an asterisk. They're going to have all this time off. Now, to me, that asterisk that a team is going to have after winning this year's NBA championship, it's going to be that much more impressive rather than, they had time off, because you said so many things. A lot of people forget about just being a human. I mean, these guys haven't been in basketball shape in 3 months. As much as you can train and as much as you can work out and shoot every day, it's not the same till you step on the court. That's like that for high school, much less college and NBA. So for these guys, whoever comes out on top in Orlando with Mickey, it's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait. I cannot wait till it starts. I'm looking at the schedule right now from Shams, from The Athletic. August 16th to 17th will be the play-in tourney if necessary, and then it's going to roll. And literally the first round is going to start on the 18th the next day. Second round is going to start on September 1st. So they're going to keep this moving. They're going to make it go and go and go. I can't wait. I know you can't. Another sport that we're really going to get into that you definitely have a lot more knowledge on, as we all know, is the UFC. And you said this card is more loaded than the Ferguson Gaethje title defense. Is that true?
Yeah, man. This card, UFC 251, July 11th, is going to be absolutely loaded. I've seen in the last 24 hours, they've added 3 title fights, 3 championship fights to the card. You're going to have the welterweight championship, Kamaru Usman, the champion, versus Gilbert Burns, who just won a couple of weeks ago over the former champion, Tyron Woodley, in dominating fashion. They flip him in over Jorge Masvidal, who's feuding with Dana White publicly right now. Gilbert Burns gets the shot. He's going to face Kamaru Usman. Then you have the featherweight rematch. Max Holloway, the greatest featherweight of all time, just lost his belt to New Zealand, well, I guess Australian zone, Alex Volkanovski, who trains with one of my favorite fighters, Israel Adesanya, Stylebender. They will rematch on the card as well. And the vacant bantamweight title fight, Peter Yan from Russia versus Jose Aldo, who just lost his last fight, but a lot of people believe he won that fight. One of the greatest featherweights of all time will be fighting Peter Yan. And there are loads of other cards. There's Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, both former strawweight champions. Rematch of a title fight. They'll be on that card. It's a loaded card, man. There's a lot of prospects, and it will be held on Fight Island. Finally, Fight Island today was revealed. Yas Island off of Abu Dhabi is going to be the home of Fight Island. Infrastructure, Dana White says, is going now. They will actually have a octagon in the sand on the beach. Infrastructure is being built. He says they will get flown into Abu Dhabi. Apparently, the island is drivable. I kind of thought, well, that's a little strange, but they have a bridge that goes to the island, giant island. And when the fighters get onto the island, they will have their own personal trading quarters. They'll be able to train by themselves, hotels, restaurants, food delivery, all on the island. The fighters will not leave the island until the card is over. And it will be that weekend, the UFC pay-per-view, July 11th, UFC 251, and then 3 consecutive weekends of fight nights. There will be 1 month on Fight Island, and Dana White says he will be on Fight Island the whole time. So that was super exciting news today. He shared with Laura Sanko on UFC's Facebook page. I'm so excited. And like you mentioned, that Ferguson Gaethje card last month, incredible. Lived up to all the hype. I kept talking to you the whole time. This is going to be one of the best cards, and it lived up to it and then some. This card, I guarantee, is going to live up to the same exact amount of hype. And this last UFC event was also very good. I got to be honest, this last one, Sugar Sean O'Malley, knockout. Cody Garbrandt, knockout. Amanda Nunes, the greatest female fighter. Up there as the greatest fighter, period, in my opinion. Defended her belt again. The UFC, they're being rewarded for putting out fights. Dana White said they'd be the first sport back, and they were. And they're putting out some unbelievable fights, and they've done some great numbers. You know, to see a fan like you who really was not that interested in the UFC before, you're watching, and there's a lot like you that are watching, and they're being rewarded for watching. There's been some unbelievable cards, some new prospects. The UFC is doing good things. Dana White, the fearless leader of the UFC, is doing what he does, taking risks, and they're paying off.
It's better than what the MLB has been doing, because the MLB has been the laughing stock of all pro sports leagues. So many rejections over their proposals and their ideas to come back, but it excites me so much. And to me, it again just proves to people things are possible if you take precaution with anything, with going to the grocery store during this pandemic, with going to visit your family, having a UFC fight. People have been clamoring, at least I remember talking even with my dad, mentioning football. And he even said, if UFC is happening, guys that are literally right on top of each other, why can't football happen? Why can't baseball happen? Why can't basketball happen? And it just made you think, as crazy as the world is right now, there are guys like Dana White, guys like Adam Silver, who are putting measures in place to not only ensure the safety of their players and their coaches, which is top priority, but at the same time, give people an outlet, whether it's to mask the emotion you're feeling right now, whether it's to give you a sense of hope. It's all been phenomenal. And man, Fight Island, it shouldn't even be called anything else after this, should it?
It's crazy, man. The gear that they're releasing, the merchandise, is I might have to buy a shirt.
I think we should both buy the same ones.
I think we have to, because at this
Let's do it.
point, these types of things going on, these are unheard of. Like Fight Island, empty arenas for soccer games in the biggest leagues in the world. The Bundesliga is playing, Premier League is planning on coming back. And I understand what you're saying, and I understand what your dad's saying. If the UFC can fight and they're on each other, here's the difference, right? These are 2 guys with teams of 3. So you got a group of 3 or 4 people who are separated from everyone except for the fight. And they have to be tested. It's easier, in my opinion. You got to test one fighter in their teams. They're separated from each other the whole week. When we're talking MLB, when we're talking NFL, you've seen the sidelines in NFL games. It's 100 people, coaches, physical staff, medical staff. You're telling me, like in the UFC, they have limited medical staff out there for the reason they have it in the back. You can't have that in football. You can't have limited medical staff out when they're playing football. You can't have limited coaching. It's not like you can say, hey, offense, you're out. Defense, go to the locker room now. And then switch. They can't do that. Same with Major League Baseball. They're all in the dirty dugout. We played baseball. They're in close quarters, sharing bats, touching each other's batting gloves, fielding gloves. Everybody's touching the same ball all the time being thrown around. It's a little bit different to me. So I can understand why, like you said, MLB is not exactly looking like anything other than they're going to be the last sport that comes back. But when I look at the sports that are coming back, I heard the PGA Tour is coming back. In a couple of weeks, Formula One will come back. These are all sports where being separated isn't too difficult. Your golfer's out there with his caddy. You can keep them apart from the other guys. Put them in golf carts. It doesn't matter. Put them in something so they got to walk away from each other. Formula One, let's be real. You got the tire changers, the driver in the car with a helmet and glass already on, and the team crew, pit crew manager up in the top. So you can keep people away from each other. I think that's why these sports are coming back, and at least we're getting to see something. Soccer was surprising to me too. I was surprised that came back so fast. I put that in the same boat as football, basketball, baseball, but you're seeing that a couple of sports are just so proactive. Basketball's been so proactive. The soccer leagues have been so proactive, and we're seeing what happens. They're getting back out there earlier. They're pushing hard enough, and they're getting out there to play. So I'm hoping that the other sports do the same, but I truly think by mid-end of July, we're going to see damn near every sport playing again. I really do. I think football and baseball will be the last two. And then I think from there, we start putting fans in seats slowly but surely. Who knows when that'll happen? Hopefully soon. But, it's glad to see something. But you are 100% right. Baseball is not doing anything that looks like they even want to be playing. It doesn't even look like the players want to play. The coaches don't want to be there. We were talking, month and a half ago about them potentially going to Arizona. And we've heard absolutely zero progression in that talk, only steps backwards. So I don't know what they're doing, but I know that there are some soccer leagues who are pushing forward. There are some who are against it. So I just think it's a matter of whoever's in the leadership position. If you've got a Dana White, if you've got a Adam Silver, sports is coming back. Your sport's coming back. But not all leagues have a fearless commissioner like those do.
That is very true. I think you tied it up perfectly by saying that, because it starts and it ends with the commissioner. One thing that's also in my mind, Danny, about all of this, and I hope that we get some more clarity as the months go on. I did want to touch on, though, as we have heard and seen in the news, there have been multiple players from Auburn's football team and Alabama's football team who have gone back to campus but have tested positive for coronavirus. So now you sit here and you think, and you could think this with the NBA too, in a place like where it's all, in one, or even on Fight Island, everybody's in one, arena. Everybody's in one facility. Everybody's there. What if one person tests positive? Adam Silver said it already. They're not just going to shut down the league again. They're just going to isolate that player and whatever. But then you think about it. This is where you can really overthink, but it's just a thought to have. Let's say player A from Milwaukee gets it, and player A played with all 10 other players in the Bucks. Player A also played against 10 other players in the Lakers. High-fived the coaches, put his arm around the referee, saw his trainers, saw other guys. That's almost 40 people possibly. Are you going to isolate those people? Are you going to take out those teams from the playoffs? I mean, to me, it's just, it's scary in a way, because you think about all the external factors that we have absolutely no control over that could possibly happen. And then you look at it as, okay, this is a failure, but then again, it may not be. Where does your mind go when you think about all the possibilities that could happen for any league, for soccer, one that I forgot to mention, basketball, UFC, you name it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I've been listening to the UFC, and I've obviously been following that stuff super close, you remember I was absolutely heartbroken when that April card was canceled 3 or 4 days before. I was heartbroken. I want to see these guys competing. I want to see sports. Sports for me is everything. But what the UFC has done is they're telling every fighter, you come in a week before the fight. You get tested when you get there. You don't do anything else. You go get tested, and then you are isolated with your team. You don't see anyone for 2 days until your results come back 2-3 days later. You don't see anyone. The problem was with the first UFC that came back, I don't know if you remember, Jacare Souza, who ended up testing positive. They still let him do the media face-off before his results came back. That was the problem. As you can hear, though, it's starting to rain here. You could hear that was a problem. And that is a problem. You need to make sure these guys are isolated before they do anything. They need to show up July 1st and they need to get tested, and then that's it. That's what they have to do. If they don't do that, it's a problem. They can't have them meeting with anybody. When they come in, before they get team practice, before they get to do anything, they get tested and then they're isolated. 2-3 days. If they got to sit in their hotel room, they got to sit in their hotel room, because what you're describing cannot happen. Like what just happened at Alabama with them all coming back and then getting tested after a couple of days of practice is negligence. You should be able to sue these coaches for negligence, the university for doing this. They should have been tested and sat in their rooms for 3 days, supervised until results came back. If not, you cannot do this. That's the thing I thought about when thinking about even the Wingate teams coming back. If you're not going to have these teams, these people travel back, get tested, and be isolated before team activities begin, how can you be surprised when these things happen? How can you be surprised when Alabama guy and then 19 more test positive? Of course, that's how it started. It started with Rudy Gobert, played a game, then a bunch of people got it. Then you realize, oh, wait, they're all testing. Now they all have it. That's what happens. You have to have them all get tested. You have to have them be in isolation first. And then when they if there's a positive test, hopefully there won't be. If there is, then that person's got to be isolated. They do not get to rejoin the team till they test again and it's negative. That's just the facts. They isolate for 2 weeks and then they can come back if they test negative after that. But if they test positive, it has to be before team activities. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't think of anything else other than they show up on site in Orlando, get tested, and do not do anything until every test comes back. If you can't do that, what can you do? Because if what you described happens, panic sets in. If they play a game or they have a practice and then the test comes back and somebody's positive, I mean, absolute fiasco. And that's going to happen everywhere, because you just have to think right now at the percentages of the people who have it, somebody might pop up with a positive test. It's happened in almost every league. So
Right.
You have to have that happen before, and then you go from there. But man, I'm obviously hoping that doesn't happen, but
Sure hope
you
not.
got to have a plan in place.
Exactly. And that's not to say that you can't test positive after you get there. But
Yes.
I think, as you mentioned, and it makes you think to our friends that are international students that are coming over from places like Australia, Italy, France, the United Kingdom, everywhere, really. And then you think about, who were they exposed to? That's where your mind can really play a lot of games. But I think for the NBA, if we're being honest, they should have their players come now
Yeah.
and get tested and then
Completely agree.
isolate for 2 weeks just to be safe, or even a week, be by themselves, work out on their own, have one trainer with them, yada yada yada, and then move on. But as we all know, with everything, time will tell as the situation moves on. Now with all these protests, who knows what the tests will look like when it comes to the virus. I know North Carolina reported one of their highest amounts of tests a couple days ago, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, this is where we are now. You know what I mean? This is just the landscape that we're in. What can you do else? But what else can you do but just try and do everything safely? If we're trying to bring sports back and school back, we just have to do the best we can. At the end of the day, you have to do the best you can.
One thing that we can do safely, thank goodness, is look at shoes. And as we all know, we look at shoes a lot. Danny, give me 2 shoes right now off the top of your head, quickly. 2 shoes that you're looking at that you're looking to either buy or maybe trade in a couple things, get some store credit, and go nab them.
Man, you know me. I've talked about this one shoe that just will never get off the top of my head. I can't help but want this shoe so badly, and I almost want it more than my Travis Scott lows. And that's the Travis Scott Air Force Ones. I've been talking about these forever. You know me, and everybody who knows my shoe love and my shoe collection knows I love materials almost as much as I love the silhouette itself. For the people who heard, and you obviously know, I just picked up the Michael Thompson Original 6 Air Force Ones that are made out of hemp. Do you understand? Not
That's
too many
crazy.
people. I would love to challenge, and you guys watch this, accept my challenge. Who has more materials on their shoes than me? I would love to have somebody challenge. I've got corduroy, suede, patent leather, tumbled leather, hemp, plastic, like reusable. I got everything. So that for me is important. I love all the materials and the design of those Travis Scott Air Force Ones. I think those will be in my collection. I would predict by the end of this year. That is the hope. I'm not sure of this, but I hope maybe it's a birthday present. Dad, if you're listening, if you're watching, I would love that. And the second shoe right now that is going to take a while to get, but I love this shoe so much. It's so simple, but it's my favorite designer, and that's the Kith Air Force One. Those Ronnie, they're simple. Red, white, little bit of green. Man, it's so simple, but I love Ronnie Fieg. I love the story. I represent New York a little bit the same way he does. I was born in New York, so I have that connection as well. Ronnie Fieg is my favorite designer, and that's a shoe that's a little basic, but I believe it's a friends and family only. So being able to find that shoe is going to be tough. I'm obviously hoping that they release a general release pair that I could potentially get my hands on, but I'm on an Air Force One kick right now. I love the Air Force Ones. I know I was talking to my boy Josh Tiller. He's telling me he's trying to go for an all Air Max closet. I can respect that. I think my first choice would probably be an all Air Force One closet. So those are the two pairs of shoes right now that I'm looking to get. I just sold my Sakai's and my Hennessy Dunks. For those that don't know, I traded them in to, as Donnie described, as a pretty mature move. Start a savings account, try and save up a little bit more money. Wanted to start it on my own, save up a couple shoes, understand that finances and future finances are more important than a current shoe selection, but that does not preclude me from wanting to buy every Air Force One I see. So those will be the first two that I buy when the bank account is opened once again. What about you?
Let's give you first. Being able to give up your Sakai's and the Hennessy Dunks, that must have been hard.
It was.
It must have been very hard. For me,
it's a little bit easier when you see that direct deposit into the bank account, but
hey,
it is
we'll
still
take
hard.
It. We'll
It's
take it.
still
You've
hard.
got enough, as we can see for those that are watching on your screen. You've got enough to
I do.
keep me happy.
I absolutely do.
For me, after getting a pair of Yeezys and kind of thinking about it, for me, I might try and trade in a couple of my shoes, maybe for some store credit, try and buy some more shoes that are more limited, and maybe trim down my collection just a tad, but still have enough to where I can look at my
Beautiful background. Beautiful background.
What's the word for this? Shelf, really?
Yes.
Look at my shelf for
display.
Thank you, Danny. I had a massive brain fart. My
There you
display
go.
of all my shoes. But for me, I'm looking at two. Honestly, these may come to a surprise for you. Have you seen the Nike Space Hippie or this, like the trash?
Talking about the ones made out of garbage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what it is, but the more low cut one that releases on the 11th, I really like that. I'm a big fan of runner type shoes. We're going to talk about running in just a second, but running, the runner shoes just are so much more comfortable. I have a pair of the Flyknits in the box right now that I haven't been able to get out. I have some Air Prestos. I've got some Zoom Flies. I love how they feel. They're so light, and those look so cool. And the story behind it, retail's not bad. I don't know how much they're going to resell for, so I might want to hop on sneakers at 10 a.m. on the 11th as usual. And we all know that sneakers always seems to disappoint. But why not try again?
I want to interrupt you quick because that's a shoe, and I think you may agree, I have a pretty good eye and knowledge now of the market and what a shoe may go high for. Is it going to go low? Is it going to drop? I think you would agree that I have a pretty decent knowledge and understanding of that. That's a shoe that a lot of people are sleeping on, and I don't know why. Because what it reminds me of with the design, with the idea behind it, and with the limited that it will be, I guarantee, is the Tom Sachs Mars Yard. I really do compare that shoe. Obviously, the quality of it, not quite the same. The designer, obviously, Tom Sachs is a beast, and this is a Nike shoe. But I see that shoe potentially down the road, not right now. It's not going to resell for $500 right now. But I could see that shoe selling out. And down the road, when people realize, okay, on foot, that doesn't look so bad. That's a little bit close. It's a little bit close to the Mars Yard overshoe that came out, that even though I thought was one of the ugliest shoes, it was an astronaut shoe, sold for over $1,000. And I truly think that's a shoe that may catch on. So I think if that's a shoe that you like, I would absolutely pick those up, especially if you can get them for retail and potentially sit on them for a couple months before you pull them out and check out what that resale market does. You may want to carry them anyway, but I think that's a shoe that could potentially go up. The same way I predicted, I don't know if you remember this, your boy, you said, picked up the Travis Scott Cactus Trails.
Yes.
And I told you he needs to get rid of those ASAP because right now they're going for $750 on the day of release. Have you seen what they go for now?
I have not. I'm actually pulling up GOAT as
$500.
Oh.
They have dropped like crazy.
That's not good.
So that was my prediction. Those shoes, when people see them on feet, we've been saying this from the start. Shout out Julian. He was the first one to post them, you remember, and tag us.
I remember.
We all were thinking, that ain't it, Travis. That's the worst one. And granted, it's still going for $500. Let me not sit here and act like that's not typical. but it's Travis Scott. Every shoe he releases is going to be at least 5. That's basically the low for a Travis Scott shoe. It's
You're right.
that, and
Oh,
it's
definitely.
the Air Force One that I want, strangely enough, that have missed, and those are around $450, $500. If you look at the Travis Scott One right now that I have, the low, it's about 900 new. The high, 13 to 15. The Dunk, 15 to 18. And the old Air Force Ones are up in the 1,000 range. The blue, your favorites, the Jordan 4s, the Cactus Blue, those are still selling brand new up in $700, $800. And that's a Jordan 4. So the fact that that's dropped like that, you need to tell your boy if he's watching, hold on to those for now a year. You missed your opportunity. Now you hold on to them for the next year. And just like my Travis Lows, they will go back up in a year. So, but I do think those garbage shoes, I really don't know what they're called. You said Space Hippie?
I just
That's
looked it up. Space Hippie.
a fantastic name.
When we say garbage, oh my gosh, it just sounds so bad. But
It does sound bad, but I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. The shoe
no,
isn't garbage. It's
right.
legitimately made out of space garbage.
Legitimately, exactly. The
But
second shoe
that's a fantastic name. Space
thank
Hippie?
you.
Can we just talk about that?
I love it.
That is such a good name.
I love it. It looks so good. And there's, I think,
It
3
does.
variations: a high top, low top, and then a mid. My second shoe, I've gone back and forth. One that I've really, wanted to look at and try and get. And you may be surprised at this, being that you just sold yours. I don't know what it is, but the all white Sakai's are really growing on me. And the resale is not terrible. Crazy. So what I was saying about potentially trading in some shoes that I have right now that I don't wear as much, maybe some of my Jordan 1 lows that I only wear once every couple months, a couple other pairs that I have that I haven't really worn a ton, may try and get some store credit at a place that has them, may try and just get some cash, save up, put some money in. Right now, there's not a lot of money coming in for me. I haven't told you this, I actually applied to be a dasher for DoorDash. Try and make some money on the side.
I'm thinking about doing the exact same thing.
We may have to be DoorDash buddies, Danny, because
I'm down.
I think I will start either working this week or next week as much as I can, as little as I want. It's so flexible. I'm not sure exactly how you get paid. I want to say it's by the order and you get a certain percentage of it, but
I believe it also has to do with the distance from where you are to where you're driving. And the smart thing about that, I know, shout out our girl Casey, she was doing that, and my friend T's doing the same thing. They're both dashers. And they tell me they make decent money. Yeah, my friend T, who lives up in Wilmington area, she's like, I drive 4 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. She makes $400, $500. I don't want to shout her out, something along those lines. I don't want to blow her cover, but she makes a reasonable amount of money for what it is. And you can wear a mask, you can be safe, you can wear your gloves. All you got to do is knock on the door, hand the food. I think that's a great, great, great idea. I may do the exact same.
I think I'm 100% will wear a mask. Mom and Dad, if you're listening, I promise I will not take the mask off when I'm in the store. Gloves, to me, you can go either way. I have read that the virus cannot be transmitted hand-to-hand contact. It's really just through your mouth, ears, nose. So I think gloves may pick up some more germs that aren't necessary and you may not want in your car. So, and on the food. So I think that mask will definitely be worn. You need to get a stylish mask. I don't want to just get the one that looks like you're a cleaning lady. I want to
get the undefeated mask. They released the mask undefeated.
Do you want to drop some money for me?
They're only like $20.
Okay, I thought they were going to be a lot more.
No. I think they're on the website, $15 or $20. Not bad at all.
Here.
I'm
undefeated?
I almost got them. They got a camo print, a black print, man, really good. That's what I'm going to be rocking. If I'm DoorDash, I'm going to be rocking.
I'm looking right now, and okay, they're sold out.
Well, that would also make sense considering they were $20.
Exactly. Man, what else is there? What else is there to discuss, Danny? We hit everything. Can't forget. What has your fitness journey been like while you've had this time to be at home, working out, running? What's been your daily routine when it comes to working out and exercising?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I've been on a little bit of a different fitness journey. I decided to kind of mess with diet and nutrition back in November. I realized I think I was a little heavier than I wanted to be to play. So I said, for the next 2 months, the plan was really only November to the season starting in mid-February, that I was going to I was on a vegan diet, solid vegan diet from November to about the end of December. So about 6-8 weeks, I was on strict vegan, didn't cheat once, didn't mess around. And then I started to allow myself to include eggs. So, kind of became what people call flexitarian, I've heard is the word that people are using, which is a balanced diet, but it's way majority vegetables, fruits, dairy-free. I'm still dairy-free. But it's been, touch and go. It's been touch and go for the last couple of months. I've really enjoyed the process of going to Whole Foods and Earth Fare and Trader Joe's and finding new things that I like, whether it be hummus on a wrap with kale and spinach, or it's a oatmeal with, different granolas with no sugar. I've just really tried to push dairy free and no sugar because those are the things that make me feel the best. And what I found is that contributed dramatically to joint pain, muscle pain, headaches, sleep quality, even resting heart rate that started to drastically drop when I took these things out of my diet. And I saw that as I started to exercise more, and whether that was biking, boxing. My go-tos are boxing, biking, walking, and running right now. I mix those four in. I'm on the El Chapa Fast program. He created a program for me, and I'm following that diligently. I'm in week 9 right now. And it's just been a journey, man. Like you said, we're now in the 7th month of this 2-month plan. And I realize every day, man, I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with nutrition. I'm obsessed with the mental and physical health. And me and you talk about this all the time. When we talk about, when you push sweat today, that's your thing. Everybody knew I was exercising, but you started that sweat today movement, and a lot of people have joined. And what I've heard from talking to a lot of them is it's not only the physical benefits, it's the mental benefits. And right now through COVID-19, through the Black Lives Matter protests, like there's so much going into our brains. There's so much stimulation. And if you have that base of fitness, if you have that base of nutrition, everything feels like you can handle it more. You feel stronger physically, you feel cleaner, you feel lighter, and you feel just functional. You feel so much more functional physically and mentally. And that's been basically my journey, man. I'm still a part of it. I'm learning. When we talk about mixed martial arts, I'm a white belt. I'm a beginner when it comes to health and fitness, but I try my best to grow. And, hopefully in the next couple of years, I can become a blue, purple, brown, and black belt in the fitness and nutrition land. But I'm trying. I know you've been doing it. You've been motivating me a lot. The whole Sweat Today crew. Everybody's been working hard, man. And I think that's such a benefit of this. I think the biggest benefit that I felt from quarantine the last 3 months was my physical development and my fitness and just really focusing on it. So that's been it, man. It's been great. Since November, I'm very proud. I'll pat myself on the back. I've lost 18 pounds since November, which my goal was to lose about 10. So now I'm still on that journey. I'm 18 pounds in, way healthier, way fitter. I don't think I can run nearly as long as you can. I know you've been grinding on those sessions, but I'm getting there. I know I can push the pace on somebody if we have any boxing sparring anytime soon. I've been really grinding on that and the biking, but trying to get my running up, try and catch you and our girl Sierra Street. You guys are the marathon runners in this group. But yeah, man, it's been good. Been learning a lot. And what about you? How's your session been going? I know for you, the Sweat Today was kind of a beginning of the journey for you in terms of the running. And take us through what's it been like for you?
I think it was about maybe 2 weeks into being home, the reality started to set in that I would not be back at Wingate. As much as I wanted to believe that, I had to be real with myself and with others and recognize that I was going to be home for the foreseeable future. I wasn't even that great when it comes to working out and exercising at school. As you all may know, I really had a full plate a lot of the time when it came to my schedule and things going on with my on-campus job, with being an RA, with being a student, going to church every Sunday in Charlotte. I mean, I had a lot going on, so I tended to have a lot more excuses. But now, I mean, there's no excuse. So I started to do basic things. My buddy Josh Tiller, future roommate, shout out Josh, recommended me the Nike Training Club app, being that it was free, being that we can go on there and get whatever workouts we wanted right now. And I started to do some core stuff, some, upper body, lower body with body weight, light weights as much as I could. To be honest with you, Danny, I got so bored with it. And I thought, okay, am I really, really getting stronger? Am I really helping myself? I was feeling good for about, 10, 15 minutes a day. And then I would just go back to that normal lull after you work out. You have that high and it kind of just gets back down to reality. And I thought, what's one thing that I've never really done that I could do, I could push myself to be uncomfortable, to become better? And that easily was running, because in high school, I used to get pits in my stomach when coach would say on the line. I would hate it, as many people do. I hate running. And coming into college, I even told myself, Sam Hyman, one of our good friends, can attest to this. I remember working out with him and telling him, if I can keep this weight or lose weight without running, then sign me up, because I hate running. And I was like that my freshman year, so oblivious to the freshman, I would say 5, maybe. I did not gain the freshman 15, so I can pat myself in the back. But even sophomore year, this past year, I was not huge on running and cardio. And then I started to slowly work it in after working my legs on a daily basis. I would get on the stationary cycle and just go as much as I could, as long as I could. I'd have some mornings where I'd go for an hour and I'd feel great after. It was just small moments like that. Now, fast forward to now, it's going on, I would say maybe week 6 or 7 of me running at least 3 to 4 miles every day. This week, I'm trying to push it to at least 5 miles a day. And boy, have I seen benefits beyond belief. I mean, I feel so much better. As you said before, we even got on this call, it's addicting. I want to feel that sweat. I want to feel that panting. As crazy as that sounds, you may hear people say, like, I love the pain. And you may think, like, gosh, what's wrong with that guy? But at the same time, it's pain, but it's so rewarding because you feel yourself just getting better by being able to push through it and pace yourself. It's a joy for me and I love it. I want to continue to run. If you're down when things are normal, let's do some 5Ks. Let's just do as
100%.
much as we can. I want to continue to run when I get back to school, despite having a busy schedule. Running takes no equipment. It takes no special place. Wherever you are, you can make, trails. It's been awesome, man. I love it so much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. I mean, for me, the one thing that was missing when I was training for tennis was that I hated I hated long distance running. If it was like a couple of court sprints, it was like, okay, I know I'm going to get injured because I got long legs, so I'm eventually going to hurt an ankle or an Achilles or something. But man, the long distance running was just, I had the same feeling as you. I was just petrified of it. I was so scared every practice that coach, we were going to finish. He's going to say, all right, guys, go to the hill. We're going to do hill sprints for half an hour. We're going to do laps around. And I hated it. And now, just over the last couple of weeks, I've started to follow your lead. I know you said, you started to run, and now weeks later, you can run miles on miles. And for me, I've always had a problem because of my asthma, really being able to trust my body, like trusting the fact that I can go out and run 2 miles, even 2 miles. Somebody who sees some of the accomplishments I've had in tennis would probably laugh. They're like, this guy can't run 2 miles, but that was the truth. I did not trust my body, so I was so inefficient with how I ran. I just said, I'm going to run as fast as I can for as long as I can. And then as soon as my lungs give out, I'm done. And I'd be able to go 1.5 miles hard. And then, I was dead. I couldn't do anything. And I've just tried to teach myself, slow yourself down, be efficient with your energy. Make this a process. Make it a process. Make it a journey. It's just like everything else. You're not going to start out great. So you have to trust the fact that the work will pay off. And I've seen that with everybody in our little Sweat Today group. Everybody's running. They're all putting in good long sessions. And I start finding myself to, hey, listen, I don't need to be, we're all on our own journey. I don't need to be able to run 5 miles straight just because Donnie can or Sierra can or all these people can. I can go out and walk a mile, then run a mile, then walk a mile, then run a mile because I got time. I got time to improve and I've got time to push, and it's a journey. And I think that's the thing that's most important. I try and tell as many people who want to get into running, they want to get into working out, they want to get into fitness. Don't think you're going to see that change in a week. Don't think you're going to see that drastic running improvement in a month. It's going to take a long time. I feel the best I've ever felt mentally and physically right now. And it has been a 7-month journey of health and fitness, of trying out new parts of my diet, trying out new workouts. And I'm sure it's the same as you. This is a journey. You're going to be able to run and run and run, and you enjoy it. You found that peace in the struggle. You found that enjoyment in the fact that, like you said, I'm panting, I'm sweating, I'm tired, my lungs are starting to hurt, my legs are starting to feel it. This is the area where if I go 5 more minutes, the next time I run, that will be easier. You can keep going. It's the same as health and fit in everything. Mental fitness, mental health, it's all the same. Invest the time, invest the focus, and you will improve. You will feel better. I promise. You will come out of this quarantine dealing with something that none of us have ever had to deal with, and you will be a better person. I truthfully know me and everybody in the group that I have, you and the rest of our friends, are going to come out of this better because we're putting in the work, whether it be for creative outlets, physical outlets, mental outlets, trying to improve your professional skills, personal skills. So many benefits, right? And health and fitness, in my opinion, truthfully, and I would not have said this a year ago, absolutely not. The health and fitness is the base. It's the basis of all that stuff. So I'm super happy that you're grinding the way you are, that everybody in our group is grinding the way they are, and the improvements are coming.
Improvements are coming in so many ways. We're running harder, Danny. We sound better. You can see us on the podcast. It's a trifecta. That's going to wrap up episode 26. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you all who have been, following us, reposting our posts, listening to our podcast, now watching our podcast. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Danny, any closing words from you?
No, man, you hit it on the head, man. To be able to say episode 26 and we're finally on video, we finally figured out the way to do this. And we're going to be able to spread this podcast on even more platforms, man, and be able to spread the things that we know and learn from more people. And, you're going to be able to see the face of our guests and connect with them on an even deeper level. And you're going to be able to connect with us more. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We enjoy this so much. We enjoy learning from each other, growing with each other, and being able to do this. This is something that we plan on doing for a very long time. So whoever's listening and now watching, thankfully, be prepared to be a part of this journey and be a part of this Kickin' It family for a very long time. And soon enough, you will be able to represent the Kickin' It family with our first official Kickin' It merchandise, t-shirt, stickers, labels, magnets, everything coming soon. Coming in hot, man. It is going to be beautiful. Prepare yourselves because you're going to want to get this t-shirt. It will not be maximum stock. It will be limited stock. So you have to get your hands on this first t-shirt because you're going to be a part of history. You may get one of the first 25, 30, 50, who knows? There might only be 10. You might got to get your hands on them. All I know is when we release that shirt, you better hit that pre-order, that order before it's too late.
It's going to be very quickly. It's going to come at us fast. It's going to come at y'all fast. So be on the lookout. All right, that's episode 26. Thanks again for kicking it with Breezy and Don C. For Breezy, for Don C, we're out.